So originally I was going to post this to Facebook, but now I realize I'm just gonna post it on YouTube and then I'll post a link to Facebook because it's a topic I want to talk about. So hi, this is my first video back. Wow, of all the videos back, I picked this one. Welcome back if you're returning, welcome if you're new. Basically y'all are new because this person that I am now is very different from the person I was, what, 5 years ago? So at least 5, wait, 2026, when's the last time I made a video? I don't know, but it's been a fat while. So hi, life has changed a lot. I'm married, not to the person who was in my previous, like my videos from years ago. Have 2 kids, and yeah, life is crazy different, but it is good. Life is good. Weird content to be my first video back, but I don't have any plans for posting regularly necessarily because life is just a little bit too hectic. Like my little lady, she is 6 months old, and so it's still crazy. So I don't have any plans to be posting regularly or anything like that, but I do plan that whenever I do post, it is going to be whatever the heck I want it to be. So hopefully not like stuff like this all the time, because it's just not what I want to open myself up to if that becomes my regular content on here. I just have seen how that works for other people, and they're cool with it. That's totally fine. It's too much for me. So at some point I would love to stream, but I don't know if that will ever happen here because we have the crappiest internet that I have ever witnessed, ever. Which I haven't witnessed a lot, so to be fair. But yeah, so thank you guys for watching if you do, and I guess let's just get into it. Hello. So normally I would make a video like this on TikTok, but I'm not on TikTok anymore because it takes too much of my time. So I end up doom scrolling, and it's a problem. This is a topic that I care about and wanted to talk about because I just keep seeing more and more and more crap about marriage in general, but I guess specifically a lot of like negative talk about when the marriage and the dynamic is like provider and then stay-at-home mom. So I want to talk about that after I kill this ant. Disgusting. I have a seemingly different view of marriage than most people my age do. I mean, it's prevalent on TikTok and just with social media, the way that people tend to approach relationships in general, but marriage as well as a byproduct of that. And that can be like a whole other conversation, and the other things to consider when having the provider and stay-at-home mom dynamic, like all of those other things that you have to consider when getting into a dynamic like that. That's gonna be a completely separate conversation as well, so I'm not talking about that, though those things are important as well. But I do want to say this is the marriage that I have. I'm happy with it. I love it. I want to preface this also by saying different dynamics work for different people. I am not going to... I'm sitting here without my ring because I was just doing dishes. This feels so weird. No, I'm gonna go get it. Hold on. There was a point in time when wearing it felt weird because I wasn't used to having something on my hand, and now it feels very sneaky when I'm, first of all, out in public without it, because I do like the symbolism of the ring and everything like that. But yeah, whatever. Anyway, different dynamics work for different people, but this is not a dynamic that everybody wants. This is not a dynamic that works for everybody, and that is fine. So just don't do the, what is it called, the pea soup theory, okay? Move along if this ain't for you. But I think the core of this type of relationship working, and the reason it often doesn't, because I 100% am a believer that it can, but it takes the right mindset from you and from your partner. And ultimately, for like, my belief is that comes down to understanding the other person's role and understanding that you guys have different roles, therefore you guys have different sacrifices that you make. And this is also not going to be a conversation about whose role is harder, because I am a firm believer that there are different aspects of both sides that are equally stressful, just in different ways. That's what, when you get into a marriage and you decide that this is the dynamic that you want, that is what you're signing up for. Is you have different roles, therefore you have different responsibilities and different sacrifices that you have to make. So the thing that made me think of like even talking about this was I saw a video, and now to be fair, I do not know the context of the video that this gentleman was stitching and reacting to. I only saw the clips that the person stitching him showed. So from what I saw, the original video was like something to do with like the labor this girl is putting into for Thanksgiving or something like that. And I don't think she said like, oh, like I don't think she used that word. She was talking about Thanksgiving and all the things that she was making and all the things that she was setting up and all that stuff. Again, don't know the context of that video, like why she was making that video or what other parts of it there were that I didn't see. But then this guy comes and he stitches and he goes, oh yeah, so you only have that because he paid for it. You only have that because he provided it for you and everything, like kind of like holding money over her head in that way. And this is not important at all to the story, but it was the wrong person to do this to, because this girl is a TikToker. She's a TikTok influencer. She rose to the money that she has right now and the popularity that she has right now because of her. So anybody that she is dating is not what got her to her success. Just so that's clear, even though that's not the point of this video. But him saying all of that made me think about this and how if this guy is wanting that sort of like dynamic in a relationship, he's not ready for it. This goes back to talking about mindset is like, you have to have the right mindset. He does not have the right mindset in a relationship, it doesn't seem, just based off of this take that he had. And again, I didn't even see his full video stitching the original video. So, but doesn't have the right mindset for a relationship, doesn't have the right mindset for this dynamic either. And many people don't. Even if you're already in that type of relationship, they don't, because again, they are not understanding of the other side. Again, this is not a one side has it harder than the other, but at least what comes across my feed on the interwebs, it tends to be a lot of like people talking about being a stay-at-home mom is really easy. And often it's like the men talking about how like they have it harder because they have to go to work and all this stuff. And then on the other end of that, I also see a lot of women defending being a stay-at-home mom. So that's what I see a lot of in that content. As much as I agree with being a stay-at-home mom is a job, it's a bunch of jobs in one. Even though I agree with that, in these videos of the women defending themselves and defending their stay-at-home momness, I do hear a lot of times them talk about how, oh, but he has it so easy because he doesn't have this, this, and this. And that is the reason there's a lot of resentment in relationships like this. And it's because you don't understand the other person's sacrifices. Or maybe you know about them, you think about them, but you don't really internalize what that means. So again, my husband is the provider. He goes and works. I work 1 day a week. So that's our dynamic. His role is the provider. He takes care of 90% of the bills. Some bills I have that are specifically like my own, and because I am working, like I have, like that money goes to my bills and whatever extra I want to pay for if I have that room in my budget, my personal budget. So he takes care of 90% of the bills. He takes care of any like car maintenance or appointments relating to things like that. I take care of kids' appointments and things like that. But and then the occasional like household thing that needs to be fixed that isn't a big enough thing to be like, oh, property management, this is not technically our job, so like come take care of it. Like things that aren't that big, he takes care of. I take care of the house. I take care of the meals, the cleaning, and taking care of the kids, and theoretically myself and my husband, of course, but theoretically myself. That doesn't often happen, which is a thing that you see commonly with stay-at-home moms, is like they tend to neglect themselves. Like they put everybody else first and then they neglect themselves. That's just a side comment, I guess. I'm working on that. Given that dynamic, I want to say back to the video that made me want to make this video, because this is technically what he was doing, holding the idea that, say, her husband or her partner was the person who paid for all this stuff. He's holding that over her head, which if he's doing that with somebody else's relationship, there's a high likelihood that he would do that in his own relationship, which is part of why I say that this mindset is not fit for that dynamic. Not saying that that's what he wants, I'm just saying that's how he's acting. So I'm going on based off of what he has shown us. And never once has my husband done that. While he does pay for 90% of the things, he's never held that over my head, because he understands that I am taking weight off of his shoulders and he's taking weight off of mine. And this again goes back to the mindset and understanding the other person's sacrifice and in their roles that they play to make your dynamic work. And it's not a pissing contest, and that's the key thing too, is you cannot let it be a pissing contest of who has it harder, because each person has a sacrifice of their own. Like I could say I never get quiet time, I never get alone time. He does, even if it's just like him driving to work, to and from work. That doesn't sound like a lot, but for reference, when I drive, 99% of the time it's with the kids in the car. So I never have like complete alone time like that when I'm driving. Never is a strong word, that's not true, but most of the time that's my reality. But as I sit here and I'm like, oh my gosh, I never get alone time. Like I would love some time when the kids are not screaming, right? He would love more time with the kids. He works night shift, so even on his days off, the kids still see him the same amount of time as they normally would. And he wants to spend more time with the kids, right? I understand that in my role, even though it does get rough and it does get hard, and sometimes it's just like, bruh, everything needs to be done. Like, I'm only one person, right? I don't have to worry about paying for things. I don't have to worry about, are we gonna make rent this month? I do when there's a conversation like that, maybe he comes up and it's like, hey, here's a situation, you know, that's the only time. But I don't have it actively in my head because we have decided that that's his job to take care of. So I take care of other stress. And just as he comes home from work and there is a lot of things he doesn't have to do because I do them. If he was living on his own, like if we didn't have kids and he was living on his own, he would have to come home from work and still do his laundry, still do like the dishes, blah, 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 blah. All those things that I take care of. And yeah, people go into relationships and into marriage specifically and into this marriage dynamic with the wrong idea. And I think that that is why it fails a lot, and that's why you have a lot of people talk about like, oh this, oh yeah, well like let's see how long that lasts, and like they just talk so negatively about marriage in general. And I guess it really disappoints me to see so many people hate their partners, hate their lives, and perpetuate a horrible idea of relationships, marriage. They just go about things wrong. And I'm not like I've got 10 years of marriage under my belt, so I don't have as much experience as some others do. But I think that there's something to be gained from anybody, regardless of whether they have less experience than you, as long as you have an open mind and as long as they're not a complete idiot. And I would like to say I'm not a complete idiot. But obviously that's perspective, I suppose. But now that we have kids, we want to make sure that we are being such an example to them. We want them to look at us when we're older and be like, oh, I hope that I find a love like mom and dad. And we don't have a whole lot of good examples of relationships, and you see things you either want or you don't want, and that's important to have as well, so you can know what that will look like if that's the route you choose or whatever. And because we don't have the best example, like I don't think that there's any one relationship where it's like, I want that relationship that we have that's like a close friend or a family or whatever like that. And we want to be that for our kids. And I think that especially with how prevalent the media is right now, like social media and all those things, I think that it's important to talk about the realities of marriage and how they don't have to be all bad. Just sharing positivity, just sharing positivity in general these days, because everything is so negative. But yeah, I don't know if this even like made any sense. I have a point in my head, I just don't know if it was conveyed very well. But yeah, I like talking about this stuff, and it's hard for me too sometimes because I get off track. I have a list of things that I wrote down and I didn't even reference it a whole lot. Let me just make sure I didn't miss anything. Yeah, I hit everything. Okay, cool. But yeah, I like talking about this. I think it's important, especially with the way the world is right now, to try to create positive relationships and positive marriages for our future generations. Yeah, I don't know, I just want to share that. And this video I can edit a lot better than a TikTok video, so this worked out anyway. So if you watched this whole thing, thanks, I appreciate it, that's cool. Would love to hear feedback from other people, to be honest. Like I used to love talking about politics. I do not anymore, don't even, but I used to love talking about politics and looking at different perspectives, because I genuinely love to hear all sides so I can try to understand where a person is coming from, because I'm a person who is understanding of the fact that I don't understand everyone, and I probably can't understand everyone because we have so many different life experiences that have brought us to the conclusions that we have, the opinions that we have, the political views that we have. And yeah, so I genuinely would love to hear people's thoughts about this topic. If I said anything that you have a question about or have a comment on or disagree with, I genuinely would love to hear it. Yeah, okay, bye.